Hello, my name is Eric Miller, and we're doing a series called Love and Lead. So thanks for joining us today. I have the originator of the internet with me, Dr. Jeff Bogue. He is extraordinaire in every level of things. So
I am making so much money right now because I actually own the internet.
there you go. I'm struggling to think of new and creative ways to introduce you, but I think good. Yeah. I'm enjoying, Jeff, just learning from you and getting to ask you some of these questions because I think it's helpful for people to learn to love and lead as Christ has done that for us. And just you've been in ministry for so long and been a pastor. And so today we would just want to share with people, how do we lead someone who's hurting? What does that look like? How have you experienced that in your time and years in ministry? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we have this little phrase that we use a lot around Grace Church and in life. We say hurting people hurt people. And that phrase isn't original to me. It was taught to me years ago, but it is very, very true that hurting people hurt people. And so what happens is when we're under pressure, when we're under the gun, or something happens in our life, right, that will lash out at each other. I like to say that what human beings do best is sin against each other. It's actually our nature to do that. Yeah. And so you run into that as a boss, as a coworker, as a roommate, a teacher, a parent, or a leader in a church. And so that little phrase has been good for us. Hurting people hurt people. And then the question is, how do you lead them and love them when we're doing that? So I would say things like this. When you see somebody and they're hurting and they're kind of maybe acting out a little bit, look through them, not at them, right? So don't just look at their behavior, but look through their behavior. Instead of looking and saying, "Hey, why are you being a jerk?" You look and say, "What's going on? Like, man, something's wrong in your heart, or something's wrong in your life, and you're lashing out from that position." So don't look at them, look through them. The other thing I would say is, have a sympathy. We've all done this to each other. Me too. And in fact, we usually kind of hurt the people we trust the most, and we feel safe. So we'll kind of, it's that old thing of your mom yelling at you, and then she picks up the phone and she has a pleasant voice. It's that kind of a thing. And so have a sympathy that you have done what's being done to you. That usually generates a little bit of compassion and understanding with it. Then I wrote down the idea of just move toward them. Usually when people are hurting, we'll tend to freeze. If you see somebody crying, you tend not to know what to do. Or they hit their desk suddenly and they're frustrated, or they pop off the F-bomb or something like that. Like, you're not sure what to do. And I would say, instead of like staying in your lane and not doing anything, go to them and say, "Hey, are you okay? Can I help?" And maybe just a word of encouragement, or maybe a quick prayer if they'll let you, for them right then. And then I would say, give a little bit of hope. So maybe there's a phrase or two that helps reframe what's going on in their life. There's a little bit of hope, everything from the sun will come out tomorrow to Jesus loves you and is here with you. It's kind of the whole gamut. But what I would say is, we usually use way too many words when somebody's hurting. And I would say, bring the words down and be efficient with them. And what I found is, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times when we do that, as we engage them, the tension comes down. When the tension comes down, the trust and the relationship goes up. And maybe in there somewhere is the conversation, where you can dig deep. But in those moments, just quietly, simply, lovingly move in. And remember, hurting people hurt people, and we need to love them and lead them in the midst of that process.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's very insightful. And I think true when we can connect it with ourselves and how we've tended to operate in those situations and what we want people to do for us. So that's a wonderful principle, and I think something that if we can begin to implement, tune into those reminders in our brains, that that'll really help us to love and lead well. So thank you, Jeff, for sharing that. And thank you all for tuning in again and spending a few minutes with us to be better equipped in what it means to love and lead. This is Eric and Jeff signing off.